Mastering SOC 2 for Investor Confidence. Your organization is one audit away from investor panic. How can we accurately assess the current state of our organization's compliance with SOC 2 requirements to ensure operational excellence and maintain investor confidence? To accurately assess the current state of an organization's compliance with SOC 2 requirements and ensure operational excellence, thereby maintaining investor confidence, a thorough and structured approach is necessary. This can be achieved by following a 5-step process that covers gap analysis, risk assessment, control design and implementation, testing and evaluation, and ongoing monitoring and reporting. Step 1. Gap analysis. Conduct a comprehensive review of the organization's current policies, procedures, and practices to identify gaps between the current state and the required SOC 2 controls. This involves reviewing existing policies, procedures, and standards to identify areas that require improvement or are missing entirely. Mapping current controls to the SOC 2 Trust Service Criteria, TSC, to identify gaps and areas of non-compliance. Identifying and documenting the scope of the SOC 2 assessment, including the systems, data, and processes that will be included. The output of this step should be a comprehensive gap analysis report that highlights the areas that require attention and provides a roadmap for remediation. Step 2. Risk assessment. Perform a risk assessment to identify, evaluate, and prioritize the risks associated with the identified gaps. This involves identifying and documenting the risks associated with each gap, including the likelihood and impact of each risk. Evaluating the risks to determine which ones pose the greatest threat to the organization's ability to meet SOC 2 requirements. Prioritizing the risks based on their likelihood and impact, focusing on the most critical ones first. The output of this step should be a risk assessment report that provides a clear understanding of the risks facing the organization and prioritizes remediation efforts. Step 3. Control design and implementation. Design and implement controls to address the identified gaps and mitigate the risks. This involves developing and documenting new policies, procedures, and standards to address the gaps identified in the gap analysis. Designing and implementing controls to mitigate the risks identified in the risk assessment. Assigning ownership and responsibility for the implementation and maintenance of the new controls. Providing training and awareness programs to ensure that personnel understand the new controls and their roles in maintaining compliance. The output of this step should be a set of well-designed and implemented controls that address the gaps and mitigate the risks. Step 4. Testing and evaluation. Test and evaluate the implemented controls to ensure they are operating effectively and meet the SOC 2 requirements. This involves developing and executing test plans and procedures to evaluate the controls. Conducting walkthroughs, observations, and interviews to validate the controls. Reviewing and analyzing the results of the testing to identify any deficiencies or areas for improvement. Implementing corrective actions to address any identified deficiencies. The output of this step should be a comprehensive report that provides assurance that the controls are operating effectively and meet the SOC 2 requirements. Step 5. Ongoing monitoring and reporting. Establish an ongoing monitoring and reporting process to ensure that the controls continue to operate effectively and meet the SOC 2 requirements. This involves developing and implementing a monitoring program to ensure that the controls are operating as intended. Conducting regular reviews and assessments to identify areas for improvement. Reporting on the effectiveness of the controls to management and the board of directors. Maintaining a continuous risk assessment and control evaluation process to identify and address new risks and gaps. The output of this step should be a sustained level of operational excellence, with ongoing monitoring and reporting providing assurance that the organization continues to meet the SOC 2 requirements and maintain investor confidence. By following this structured approach, organizations can accurately assess their current state of compliance with SOC 2 requirements, identify and address gaps and risks, and implement effective controls to ensure operational excellence and maintain investor confidence. The pursuit of operational excellence and maintaining investor confidence, a challenge that requires us to dig deep and confront our organization's inner workings. I've lived through this journey, and I'd like to share with you a personal anecdote that illustrates the path to SOC 2 compliance and the lessons I learned along the way. It started with a sense of unease, a nagging feeling that our organization's operational framework wasn't quite up to par. We were growing rapidly, and our investors were keenly interested in our ability to manage risk and maintain integrity. I knew that achieving SOC 2 certification would be a key differentiator, but I was unsure where to begin. My first step was to assemble a team of experts from various departments: IT, finance, legal, and operations. Together, we embarked on a comprehensive examination of our organization's internal controls, processes, and procedures. This was no easy feat. It required us to drill down into the minutest details, to question our assumptions, and to challenge our own biases. As we delved deeper, I began to realize that our organization's pulse was far more erratic than I had initially thought. There were pockets of inefficiency, hidden risks, and unclear responsibilities lurking beneath the surface. It was as if we were navigating a dense forest, where every step forward revealed new obstacles and opportunities for growth. One of the most crucial lessons I learned during this process was the importance of empathy and active listening. As we engaged with various stakeholders, I recognized that each individual had a unique perspective, shaped by their experiences, fears, and motivations. By listening deeply and empathetically, we were able to distill the essence of our organization's challenges and opportunities, and to craft solutions that resonated with everyone involved. Take, for instance, our IT team's concerns about data security. They had implemented various measures to safeguard our systems, but these initiatives often operated in silos, with little coordination or oversight. By engaging with them in open and honest dialogue, we were able to identify the root causes of these issues and develop a unified approach to data security that addressed their concerns while aligning with our broader organizational goals. As we worked through this process, I began to grasp the significance of moral clarity. It's not just about adhering to rules and regulations, it's about cultivating an ethical compass that guides our decisions and actions. SOC 2 compliance, in essence, is a manifestation of our organization's commitment to doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. One of the most pivotal moments in our journey came when we confronted a particularly thorny issue related to vendor management. We had outsourced certain functions to third-party providers, but our due diligence had been lacking, and we were exposed to significant risks as a result. By facing this problem head-on and taking swift action to rectify the situation, we demonstrated our organization's capacity for moral courage and integrity. Throughout this odyssey, I've come to appreciate the value of humility. No one individual or team has all the answers, and it's essential to acknowledge the limitations of our knowledge and expertise. By recognizing our vulnerabilities and seeking guidance from others, we can tap into a collective wisdom that far surpasses our individual capabilities. As we neared the completion of our SOC 2 certification, I felt a deep sense of pride and accomplishment. It wasn't just about the certificate itself. It was about the transformative journey we had undertaken as an organization. We had confronted our weaknesses, fortified our strengths, and emerged stronger, more resilient, and more committed to our core values. Looking back, I realized that our quest for operational excellence and investor confidence has been a journey of self-discovery. It's forced us to confront our own biases, to challenge our assumptions, and to cultivate a culture of empathy, moral clarity, and humility. As we continue to grow and evolve, I'm reminded that SOC 2 compliance is not an endpoint, but an ongoing process that requires constant vigilance, adaptation, and improvement. In the end, it's not about achieving a certification, it's about becoming the best version of ourselves, individually and collectively, as we strive to make a meaningful impact in the world.